Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Starcastic Remarks. I'm Chris, joined alongside some new faces tonight. We have the Patriarch Dad, Mr. David, who you have all seen, and we are just like a hockey team going next man up. We have brought in Travis Chambers, the youngest of the Chambers family, and you have now seen all Chambers males at this point now. How are y'all doing tonight?
Excellent.
How are you,
I'm doing
Travis?
good.
All right. We're all the way down to these people because, as y'all know, Ryan is still with baby. Brand new baby Allison. She's doing fantastic. Mom's doing fantastic. Thank y'all for y'all's thoughts and prayers on that. In the meantime, James has fallen ill. He is currently moaning and sleeping with a bellyache. And the normal call-up, Cooper, is also struggling with some coughing fits. So some illnesses going around the Chambers household. Thank goodness I'm not there.
Cooper's on the mend, just having a little bit of a cough. So he's been down for 4 days though. Whatever this was went through all of us. So Travis and I have already been through it, so we're good to go.
Yep, and no matter what, we will bring you the Starcast remarks every Sunday. So let's get right into it. We're gonna first talk about. So y'all didn't get a chance to comment because y'all are not normally on this podcast. But y'all didn't get a chance to comment on the crazy game we had last night where Matt Murray was just fantastic and the Stars couldn't buy a goal. I mean, what are y'all's initial thoughts on that? I couldn't get y'all to shut up about it before the show started.
My final thought was that was not fun. That was my summary for the game at the end. He was too good. He was too good. We threw everything but the kitchen sink at him, and then tried the kitchen sink. It feels like, and still didn't work. You wish Otter could play a little bit better in there. Noticed Sagan trying, not succeeding, and then trying a lot harder, but still not succeciding.
And we'll get into a couple of those things as well. Something me and James didn't bring up last night is Matt Murray had on stats the best shutout performance in history. The Stars' goals expected was at 6, and Matt Murray saved all of them. So statistics-wise, best shutout ever. Travis, what were your thoughts of that game?
Yeah, the main thing was special teams. We probably should have been able to score a goal at least once and try and turn that around, but we never could get it past Matt Murray. He just saved everything.
And what's really interesting is the previous game that we played against Toronto was the exact same, but the inverse. That was the game where I think Toronto had 8 power plays in that game. Yeah. So kind of interesting how both those games kind of flip-flopped on the special team side. Still, neither team was able to score in the power play. And, I mean, Toronto's goaltending was just great in both those games. So, either way, like I said last night, that's not a game you can dwell on. If a pitcher throws a no-hitter, you're not going to blame all your batters. You're going to give props to the pitcher. You're going to tip your cap, and you're going to go play the next game. That's what we're going to do tomorrow night, and that's the best thing to do, in my opinion.
I still want to gripe about Marner putting his hand over the puck and sliding it under the goalie with his hand over the puck, even though we wouldn't have scored on the following power play.
Yeah, I think the main thing with that is just they'll probably just continue to keep doing it if they never call it once. So we might not have scored anyway, but they're probably just going to keep putting their hand on the puck if they never call it.
They should have called it because it was right during the huge push where we had so many. He made the biggest saves of the whole game just in that 5-on-2.
If y'all know specifically what they're talking about, it was on the 5-on-3 when Marner lost his stick. It was the very tail end of it to stop the play. It was actually kind of behind the net, and Marner used his glove to push it into Matt Murray's equipment,
and not just push, he covered it and slid.
He covered it and slid it. And I think the other reason why it wasn't called is just because he didn't move it very much, and it was also hidden from the ref a little bit. The ref was on the other side of the net and couldn't really see it. So
that could explain it, yeah.
And
the
also
camera angle was.
And my big argument against y'all complaining about that is we had 7 power plays. We should have scored.
Yeah.
We just weren't going to score that game. Move on.
Totally
all right.
Agree.
Next thing we're going to talk about
Hey, wait. My favorite thing during that game,
Go ahead.
he's not here. James came home with a bag
Oh,
of
yes.
stop Carolina wings.
Oh, the new flavor.
Yeah.
That was so that's why I told you on the chat. I told you James is now my favorite son.
So,
But
so how was the new flavor?
I only got one, so he's not still my favorite son. It only lasted for the game, but it was very tasty. Definitely had the Carolina tang to it. Probably not something I'm going to order again, but I enjoyed it. It was good.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I'll probably get it again eventually.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to try it. Anyway, next, because of the game that we lost last night and Winnipeg winning 5-2, I believe, against the Panthers, Winnipeg now jumps into the first spot in the Central Division, and Stars are not in first, probably for the first time in like a month and a half. Large part of that is due to just how fantastic Winnipeg has been. Their last 10 games, 7 wins, 3 losses, no overtime losses. They've been really good. They've been the best team in overtime. The inverse of that is the Stars.
Us.
The Stars have been the worst team in overtime. Our last 10 games, we have 5 wins, only 2 losses, but 3 overtime losses. So the overtimes are really killing the Stars right now. We are second most overtime losses behind the Maple Leafs, actually. So,
and hopefully it doesn't come down to this, but then at the end of the season, if we're squeaking into the playoffs, which it shouldn't come down to, but if we are, then these comeback ties and overtime losses may still be a very big thing.
And it definitely came down to that last year. I mean,
Right.
Last year, if we don't have, I think we had like 10 overtime wins. That's 10 extra points. We don't have those, we are not in the playoffs.
But likewise in these games, we have to remember we were behind in these games.
That's the next thing I was about to bring up.
Yeah, and eventually when we get to the playoffs, we're going to have to learn how to put it away and finally win the games.
And that's the other nice thing is that when you get into the playoffs, we're not playing 3-on-3 overtimes and shootouts.
Yeah.
So very different kind of
Just
game, but
another
yes,
period.
Yeah, the clutch nature of it is still definitely a thing. The sudden death aspect of hockey overtime, there's definitely a mental switch that you have to click. You're right, Travis. So they got to find that dog in them to score those goals when it counts the most. But kind of going through, like we talked about, those comeback overtime losses that we had. We had Tampa Bay on the 15th of November. We came back into that game, fought our way back in, lost that one in overtime. Colorado, we played a good game against them on the 21st. That was just the playoff feel. We didn't really come back in that one. That was a well-earned point. 25th against Winnipeg. The second of the crazy comebacks. That was right after the Chicago comeback that we took in regulation. And Winnipeg, we come back from down 4 goals and end up just with the tie. And then we have another one against Minnesota, another crazy comeback that we lose again. So that's 3 of the 4 have been. Was it 4? 3 of the 5 have been from really just heroic comeback efforts.
And
3 stolen points, in my opinion.
Yeah, when we come back, that does feel good because I remember game before last when I guess the Sunday the Sunday matinee. I stopped watching. I couldn't stomach it. I couldn't do it. And James was in there sending texts. I guess you were texting a little bit too. And I was out playing disc golf in the backyard, and I kept seeing them come. Like, these guys just don't quit, man. They don't quit. They don't know quit. And that's an awesome trait to have. That you get down in a playoff game, you get down by 2 goals in a playoff game. Hey, we come back from 4. So, that's a great thing to have.
And I think more so it's about the belief that they have now. So like they can be down by that many goals and they're not checking themselves out of the game and just, let's get through it and get to the next one. Even in the Maple Leafs game. I mean, we're down by 3 goals. We are confident that we can come back in that game very easily, even with just 5 minutes left. It's also a testament to how good we've been 6-on-5. I mean, that's definitely all credit of that goes to DeBoer. We were terrible at that last season. and we are fantastic this year. And pulling the goalie, me and James talked about it a little bit yesterday. Pulling the goalie with 5 minutes left was a really smart decision in our opinion, just because we've been so good at it. We're almost expecting to score on it.
Yeah. Also, we haven't really let in that many empty net goals.
Yeah, I think we've
I
let
think
like
it's like
2 or 3.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Robertson playing goalie.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so Stars are slipping a little bit. Big part of that is the overtime losses. Got to try and get that going. Another big part of that is our goaltending has fallen off. So this has been big point of contention amongst Stars group chats all over social media, and I'm kind of confused why anyone is arguing it. So Jake Ottinger, prior to his injury, was on a Vezina pace. He had a .952 save percentage, leading the league in both save percentage and goals against average. He was winning games for us single-handedly. He was fantastic. Since coming back from his injury, his save percentage is below 900. So that makes him below average the past, what is that, 14 games or something.
Yeah.
So I feel like this isn't really even an argument to be had. It's just a fact. Jake Ottinger is not as good right now, and I think he's not 100% from his injury. I mean, do y'all have any thoughts on that?
It's spurty, though, because, like, yes, I totally agree that he seems off. Sometimes he seems way off, and giving up as many goals as he has at times seems very odd. But then he does have periods of games mixed in there that he was actually pretty good at, and made lots of good saves on. And even during this game, there were some very good saves. So maybe that's what's confusing people a little bit. He made some great saves, but he just doesn't let in that many goals.
Yeah, and between the two goalies, so both Wedgwood and Ottinger, which I would say they both kind of fallen off. Wedgwood not as much. He started a little bit lower. But from the last 14 games, the Stars have given up more than 4 goals 9 times. That's
just not what we're expecting.
Yeah, that is definitely not what we're expecting. A large part of that, I think, needs to go to goaltending. And we talked about this too, is how it doesn't, I wouldn't really point to any goal and say, that's Ottinger's fault 100%. But that's not how goaltending is really measured anymore in the NHL.
No, you're right, though. That's a very good point, because, like, a lot of times, and right after the injury, when he came that first game back, you could tell he was off. And those goals were goals he should not let in. Just like should not, that game. But then after that, he hasn't had many goals of that type against him. So you're right. That is kind of just, that is odd.
Go ahead, Travis.
It seems like a mixture. Sometimes it's defense, sometimes it's goalies. Because, like, on the Toronto game, one of them, we just let Marner walk all the way up to the slot.
Yeah.
No one went on him at all.
And that one, obviously, you can't blame Ottinger for. But I'll talk about the first goal of that game. It kind of crossed crease, and it was shot into the top left corner. It is a fine shot. I wouldn't call that Ottinger's fault, but normally he can get over to that puck quicker. And that's a point in time when you need a big save like that. So goaltending nowadays is not measured in just, he's not letting in the softies like we were dealing with at the end of Kari Lettinen's tenure here. It's about making big saves when your team needs them and bailing out your defense. Because in the new form of the offensive NHL, you need some bailing out sometimes. And we were definitely getting that at the beginning of the year. No doubt about it. 100% he was doing that for us over and over again. And recently, I don't feel like he's given us a huge save in quite a long time.
Do y'all think he's been letting more rebounds out? Because it feels like that to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The third Maple Leafs goal is off of a rebound.
Also,
there's a bunch more rebounds that were
first one too. Yeah,
the first one was too.
The first one was as well. So, yeah, lots more rebounds being given up. I don't think he's moving laterally as well, and I just think that his confidence, his swagger that he had at the beginning of the year got shaken up from his injury. Because that's really what I think he thrives on most of all, is just his like the Stars have with their ability to come back. is like when he's playing good, you can see it. He is punching pucks with the blocker. He is windmilling glove saves. He's doing all of it, and it feels like he's not getting that right now.
Mental return from injury is different from physical return to injury. You go back to Madonna and you think when he had the neck injury, and he was bad for a year. He really could not get himself going, and he couldn't. And it took a year until he actually really got back. So this is not that style of an injury or that big of a thing, but that's just what kind of made me think of. And then you're also talking about Sagan, because Sagan was down a year and a half plus before, and he's still not really all the way there. He's starting to look like it, but
yeah.
And that's what I was thinking as well. But I was thinking maybe he just needs one big game to come back. And I was hoping that Thursday against the Ducks would be that game. And maybe it's just because he wasn't tested very much. He really didn't have a lot of shots against him on that shutout. Yeah. But I don't know. He needs to start the snowball rolling and just let it go down the hill. And I think he's gonna be fine. So I'm not saying we should bench Otter at all. He's still definitely our number one goalie. He's the future of this team. He's gonna be better. He has to be better. That's how we're gonna win the division, is with Otter being fantastic, and I have no doubt that he can do it.
I'm gonna throw a side note in here that just because we didn't talk about this one before, but it had to do with the last game, and I also want to plug it just because I love what you did with it. But the Wild Stallion was trying last night, or that Gurianov was flying down the ice. He still wasn't the smartest on all of his attempts, but he was noticeable at different times during that game, and I like to see him continuing that. I just can't help but feel like it's going to click sometime. Yeah. Go ahead, Travis.
He's just been skating through them a bunch of times. Sometimes he passes it, but they just get the passes, and it just feels like it's not working sometimes.
I'm going to kind of debate that a little bit. I don't think Gurianov has been nearly good enough. I think recently he looked better and looks like he's skating better. Mm-hmm. When you're getting paid over $3 million, I'm done with you're looking better. I mean, he's looked better for I would say the past 5 games. No points to show for it. Very few shots to show for it, I would say.
Because most of them are going wide.
Yeah.
He shot one like 3 feet wide and 3 feet high.
and the thing that we need from him, and what I'm talking about with when I said the Wild Stallion thing, is like he needs to crash the net. It feels like he's dancing into the zone, crossing the blue line, and then passing it off. And then he doesn't get the puck again because he's not good at cycling in the offensive zone. He needs to take his chances on the rush. And it's not good enough. His defense isn't good enough. His forecheck is not good enough at all. I don't think I've ever seen him take the puck away on a forecheck. And I don't know. It's not good enough. He's had let me see here.
Seeing him enter the zone on the second power play. That was good. He's doing that well. But you're right. Then get to the net. Let's see what can happen.
Yeah. 4 points total on the year when you're getting paid over $3 million, and your only positive is that you're an offensive guy who can skate hard. That's not good. So in my opinion, he's on the trade block right now. And we're going to pay for someone to take him is how bad he is right now.
It would be nice to see his bubble playoff slap shot back.
That too. I mean, it just disappeared after the bubble playoffs. And I was hoping with him on the power play, we'd see that a little bit more, and he just hasn't used it. He hasn't shot. Mm-hmm. Just shoot the puck.
Well, truthfully, in the last handful of games, maybe a little more, you've seen it. I've seen him go into the zone and take shots, and when the puck gets to him, he takes shots. Now, his shots have not been good, which has been the problem in my mind as well. But I have absolutely noticed he's been taking shots, so he's being told to take the shots, and they're trying to get him going. So I'm still hopeful. I wouldn't bet any money on it at all. You're right. He's going on the trading block, but there's a possibility.
I'm not hopeful. I'm over it. The past 2 years I've been calling for all this to happen.
You're no possibility even now, huh?
I'm done. I talk about this way more often, so I'm done. All right.
Gotcha.
Something that me and James failed to mention last night, which was a crime. I'm sorry. Jason Robertson point streak ends. The second longest point streak in the NHL ends to the guy who had the first longest point streak. It ends at 18 games. Jason Robertson holds the Dallas Stars record for the longest point streak in Dallas Stars history. Fantastic. I mean, that was the best month of hockey by a Dallas Stars player ever. November was unbelievable. He was
insane.
That has to be the most fun I've had watching a Dallas Stars play. Maybe since Jamie Benn won the Art Ross, I would say, because that was the only redeemable part about that year. So I just kind of want to go through his streak a little bit. In that streak, he scored 21 goals and 34 points. The majority of his points through that month were goals, and he leads the league since that month in Rocket Richard by a pretty substantial. No, Connor McDavid caught up in that market too. Connor McDavid's playing fantastic. We're going to talk about him a little bit too. Jason Robertson leads by 1 goal. He has 23 goals. Connor McDavid with 22. At home, he scored 14 goals, 6 assists. On the road, he scored 7 goals and 6 assists in 8 games. He averaged just under 2 points per game during this streak. Let's just go through some of his bigger games. November 3rd, he had 2 goals against the Arizona Coyotes in a 7-2 win. November 11th, 2 assists against San Jose on that loss. November 21st and 23rd, back-to-back multi-goal games, 3-2 overtime loss to the Avalanche, and the 6-4 comeback against the Blackhawks, which was unbelievable. I'm sorry, he had 3 in a row. November 25th, 3 games in a row with 2 goals. He scores 2 goals in the 5-4 overtime loss against the Jets. Also, he was the one who came back in that game. And then, of course, December 1st, 3 goals against the Anaheim Ducks, just the cherry on top after he was named the first star of the month of November. That was just unbelievable. I mean, the best month ever. It was so much fun to watch. It is so exciting that we have this player for at least 4 years. Obviously, he's going to get signed to way more after that. The contracts we have on this young core and with Jason Robertson leading them is just super, super exciting.
My thoughts on this one is every challenge is also an opportunity. So Jason, if you're listening, great run. We loved it. Start another one.
Yeah, let's go again. That would be fantastic. He's going to need that to keep up with Connor McDavid in the points race because he did fall. He's leading Rocket Richard still, but in Art Ross, he is behind both McDavid and Draisaitl now. McDavid had a fantastic week and a half. So December 3rd, 4-point night against Montreal. December 1st, 2 points. November 30th, 2 points. November 28th, 3 points. So
it's kind of like that other game where Ben took the lead from Robertson, and Robertson said, "What? Ben's gonna pass me? I don't think so. Spinorama goal. No, not gonna happen." So it's kind of like McDavid's like, no.
And McDavid has 3 points already on this night. There's still 13 minutes left in third. He has a goal and 2 assists. So he's tied for goals now.
Yeah, so McDavid is just – he's going to have his combined month from November 28th to now is going to be unbelievable as well. So he's still the best player in the league, obviously. But Robertson is definitely the most valuable and right now at least tied for the best goal scorer.
Yeah.
So that was fantastic. We're going to need that more, honestly. It doesn't need to be from Robertson, but it needs to be from somebody. You could definitely see Rope Hintz being that guy after getting that great contract extension.
Nice hat trick afterwards. Yes.
Nice hat trick afterwards. You could see Tyler Seguin taking a step forward. That second line has taken kind of a break the past 2 weeks, not done a whole lot. But I could totally see them starting to get going too, especially with the talks about a top 6 forward coming in soon too. Sorry, what were you gonna say, Dad?
Well, I thought that line was gonna score last night because the center on their line for that game was, I'm forgetting.
Foxa.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And it was like he has scored some more recently and some good goals recently, and there were several times in that game where I saw the puck go to him, and I'm like, yeah, he's gonna break him. And no, just too good.
Especially the wraparound chance too on that one.
Yeah. Good wraparound. So tough.
Yeah, so we can kind of talk about the second line for a second. Big thing, me and James mentioned it a little bit last night, but Tyler Seguin has had a rough go of it in the goal scoring department. 4 goals on the year, which I would say is not great. He's still putting up points, though. He's got 15 assists so far. I think a good deal of those are on the power play. So he's dishing it, and Marchment's been the one scoring most of those as well. But we really need to see some goals go in for Seguin. In the past 2 games, he's been pushing for him. Against Minnesota, he had 6 shots, and against Toronto yesterday, he had 6 shots as well. And those were the two highest shooting games for him.
Good. Yeah.
So I think he's on the up and up, and I think if he just gets one to go in, because he hasn't scored, he scored 1 goal since November 3rd. So between November 3rd and now, he has 1 goal against Florida Panthers. And he hasn't scored since November 17th. So I think if he gets one to go in, with the way he's looked, especially the past 2 games, I think he can really get something started, because it really feels like he's due.
That game, early on in that game, he had a couple shots, and it was almost like you could see in his head, he's like, that should have gone in. And there were a couple of opportunities where it looked like he was regretting not sinking those pucks. And then it looked like he just like turned the volume all the way up. And he's just slapping everything and shooting everything. And it's just he did look pretty good from a generating offense perspective and actually shooting yesterday. Tough goalie.
Yeah. I was having issue with some of Seguin's shots yesterday, especially in the first period. It felt like he had 3 or 4 really good chances, and none of them got elevated at all, which is weird for Seguin, because that's the way he scores almost all of his goals too. He's the goal scorer, and it will elevate over the goalie's pads, and it just felt like he couldn't get under the puck for whatever reason. Moving on, we're going to talk a little bit about defense. All of y'all's favorite topic. Ryan Suter has not been great recently, especially on the power play. He got taken off of it last game because of how poorly he was playing.
That was my text comment. Get Suter off the ice. Oh, yeah, come on.
Dad called for Suter to come off the ice, and he was taken off the ice. That was after his 2 turnovers in a row
on the power play,
too. Defensive zone on the power play. So that was not great. But there's been a lot of bad plays recently from the defense. So I'll move on from Ottinger's save percentage. Let's go and look at goals against. So the Stars started through the first 12 games. We had 2.48 goals against, which was top 5 in the NHL at that time. In the past 14, the Stars have 3.36 goals against per game, which is almost a full goal higher, and that's 22nd in the league during that time. So that is not good at all. That's really bad. I would say I would say it's a 50-50 split between goaltending and defense at this point. Because we've had some games where it was like, Otter could have had that one. We've also had some games where he's been left out to dry. I wouldn't say last night was one of them, but I remember the back-to-back set, I think it was. Just all the goals were just great scoring chances. And it felt like no matter what Ottinger did, he wasn't going to save those pucks. So, and last night I was really worried about Hakanpää. I feel like he's had a rough go since the first I'd say 5 to 10 games. He was really doing well. Smart passes, getting out of the zone well, laying big hits. He's still doing that. But he's had a lot of turnovers recently. Last night, 2 turnovers that led directly to goals. The Matthews one, he got his pocket picked in his own zone. I made fun of him already a little bit. Not a good play. The second one, he gets a rough play to him. The problem was passed off to him, but he couldn't make a play there either. I mean, he's got to use his body to at least slow the forward down on that one. So, and Lundqvist has been struggling as well. I mean, 3 straight games he was kept out of the lineup, and for good reason too. He had lots of turnovers, wasn't making smart defensive plays, wasn't getting any of the offense that we need. So, those 3 guys really have been the biggest problems, in my opinion. I'm not sure exactly what to do about it because they have games where they look great. All of them individually have looked really good in certain games. And then other games, they are just terrible. Not good at all. Y'all have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, we're just really inconsistent with our gameplay.
Yeah, any thoughts on that, Dan?
And the focus, I mean, the focus is shifted toward offense. And at the beginning of the year, we still had a lot of habits, good habits potentially. And maybe we need a little bit of focus on defense and point in that area. I know we switched. Which game was it that we switched our game plan and really played the small box on the penalty kill? Was it against Colorado maybe because they're so fast with the passes already? Yeah. Anyway, we talked about that.
I believe it was against Colorado. Yeah.
So maybe we just need a little more focus on defense for those guys. I don't feel like we're not getting forward support. So forwards are coming back still, right? I mean, we're not leaving too many odd man.
The biggest problem, in my opinion, is just the turnovers. I mean, the turnovers are too open and too much to the wrong guys. I mean, we had turnovers last night, both to the first line were the biggest turnovers. Yeah. Like, you can't have a turnover in your own zone when you're the only guy in your own zone to Austin Matthews. That is the opposite of the thing to do. If you see Austin Matthews running at you, ice the puck. Just ice it. Just shoot it all the way down. We'll take a face-off. We win the face-offs most of the time, so we'll take a face-off at that point. But it's just decision-making is not good. The passes are not good. And I think a bigger thing is that they need to skate more, too. Miro Heiskanen is having no problems. He skates to open ice is the biggest thing, in my opinion. So I think Hakanpää has trouble skating because, obviously, he's massive. Suter has trouble skating because he's old. And Lundqvist has trouble skating, I think, because he's tired. I don't think he's played a full season of the NHL yet, night in, night out, the minutes that he's being asked to play. So I think those 3 days off, he looked really good last night, in my opinion. But he'll figure it out. I think he will need to be scratched more often. But I think the biggest thing is they need to skate more and make smarter passes. Hakanpää especially. His passes are worst out of anyone. Suter only makes stupid passes whenever he doesn't care. I don't know.
When he's pressured.
Pressured, maybe, yeah.
It's the pressure, right? So, yeah, I noticed Lundqvist too, and he was playing so good early on, and yeah, so I didn't notice too many bad things about Lundqvist last night. So I think you're right. I think he's improved since he was benched for a little while, and hopefully that will get him moving, and he'll get in control of that.
Yeah, and that's what DeBoer talked about as well whenever we benched him. So it was he's not playing well. It's probably because he was tired. That's what he said straight up. Because this guy, because you don't ever play as often or as many games as you do in the NHL. I mean, in no other level of hockey are you playing as often. Especially if you're coming from college, you're playing 2 games on the weekends, and that's it. So it's quite a substantial step up to play night in and night out against the fastest, best, strongest players in the world. It's going to take some time to get the conditioning down for that. All right. Last hockey segment for us. I want to talk a little bit about the Ottawa Senators game on Thursday. Ottawa is not having the bounce back year that they were hoping for. So they are actually 10-14 right now. A lot of people were calling for them to be in the playoff picture again. They're not. The Stars are technically, if you want to be a pessimist, are 5-5 in their past few games. So they've fallen off a little bit. It's just kind of a must-win game, in my opinion. After a tough loss to the Leafs, you need a good bounce back here. especially when our schedule is pretty rough recently. So,
Ye-
what are y'all's thoughts going into tomorrow's game?
Yeah, especially we should probably win that game, and it would help if we get on a win streak like now soon. Because if we keep falling off, we'll just keep dropping out of a playoff spot.
Yeah, because those teams are coming up pretty quick behind us. The Jets especially have been fantastic, but Minnesota, especially the win that they had against us, was off of a back-to-back. So very good win for them to knock off the top team in their division when they're tired and to hold on to win that game. That was fantastic for them, and it just feels like they keep getting better and better.
Seems like we've been winning the games we've supposed to win. We're supposed to win. So maybe that will be another game like this, and we can push into that. I look forward to Robertson starting another point streak. Maybe even a goal streak with a couple goals. We'll see. But we need some secondary scoring. We definitely need Ben to step back up again, or Sagan to step back up again. Let me challenge the old guys. Let's go. Come on.
All last month, the only consistent guys offensively were Robertson and Ben. So
yeah,
we rode them. We rode them hard.
And we rode them hard, and we needed them because we had Miro out during that time. We had Otter out during that time, and they helped us get through there and kept us as one of the best teams in the league. But they're good. I don't think that's going to be sustainable for either of them. Not that high.
Nope.
It's going to be high, but not that high. So they need help. Sagan needs to help.
Yeah.
Marshman needs to help. Hens needs to help. He started going a little bit.
Hens started firing, so maybe that's where we get it from. Yeah.
Also, I know defensemen aren't really supposed to score that much, but we have like no defensive goals at all.
Yeah,
really.
That's another thing I thought about was Miro Heiskanen is not scoring as much. That's also because he's getting tasked with defending more.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have as many defenders. We had one person who had over 20 minutes of time on ice last game. That was Miro Heiskanen. He had 27 minutes. So when you're on the ice that much, you're not going to be as fast. You're not going to be able to score as many goals. But he is absolutely an offensive powerhouse on the assist department, especially on our power play. On our power play, he is the reason we score goals.
It's kind of hard to forego the shoot it at Pavelski so he can tip it in the back of the net shot. So
yeah, I mean, when he shoots on the power play, he has no chance of scoring because Pavelski's always going to tip it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I mean, as long as our forwards can just keep scoring everything, then we don't have to have our defensemen score.
Yeah, which obviously they're forwards. That's what we want to do. But moving on, our schedule for the next week, we have Ottawa obviously tomorrow night. Following that, another kind of similar need to win game against Detroit on Saturday during a matinee, and then a rough back-to-back. We have the Pittsburgh Penguins, who are doing surprisingly good this year so far, and then the best team in the league, shockingly, the New Jersey Devils, are fantastic. They already have 20 wins on the year, and that's going to be a rough game to try and scrap out a win. That would be fantastic. But yeah,
one item of note
rough week coming up
from tonight's games, Travis noticed and told me about.
Yeah. So, Tage Thompson scored 5 goals in one game, which he is the second person in Buffalo franchise history to get 5 goals in one game, and he also got an assist.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's insane.
He went from.
Didn't he have a hat trick in the first period?
Yeah, he had 4 goals in the first period, and he went from 16 goals to 21. So he's almost the leader in goals now from that
because
of
one game.
Yeah.
That's
well,
crazy.
And he did have one other hat trick. It was on Halloween night.
Yeah,
scary.
All right, we're gonna get right into our Who Cares segment. In light of our recent injuries on the IR, we are going to we're going to flip it. We're doing bottom 3 common illnesses. So our least favorite things to deal with.
In honor of James and Chris.
In honor of James and Cooper. So we're going to do like runny noses, sneezing, coughing, flu,
Aching,
cold,
head,
strep,
fever, so
whatever. So we're going to give you the things that we find most annoying in the common illness department. We'll start with the patriarch. Give honor. David, number 3.
number 3 for today is canker sores or cold sores.
Oh, I got one right now. It's terrible.
I hate them. They are very painful. Gratefully, don't get them as much as I used to, but man, especially when you eat something salty.
Yeah, I got one right now, and I think it's the main reason that I've stumbled over a couple of words here. And it's on the top lip too, and it's like on the edge. It's rough. It's not good. All right, Travis, number 3.
My number 3 is if you're allergic to chocolate. I would never want to be allergic to chocolate. I love chocolate. That would suck.
I like that. So not one that you've had yourself, but but yeah, no, that would be terrible.
All right, my number 3. We're gonna be basic. We're just gonna go with the headache. So, the past 2 weeks, Cedar has been at like an all-time high in College Station, which is terrible. There's normally not very much Cedar here, but there is so much recently. I've had a headache every night. Every night when I go home, I've had a headache. And it is just so frustrating. I'm just going to sleep. I'm just sleeping early because I can't deal with the headache. Super annoying. And it's not bad enough for me to be able to stop doing stuff too. So I'd keep doing stuff just with pain. Fantastic. Love that. All right.
Yep.
Favorite.
Dad, number 2.
Number 2. I got to go with food poisoning and the results of food poisoning, which I have experienced fairly recently, and actually was supposed to be in the office the next day. I went to an nice dinner with vendors. You know, everything was great. I got to the hotel where I was staying, and I watched a Stars game, and I went to bed feeling great. And about 3 a.m, no. Stayed at the hotel till 1 p.m. checkout, and then drove home in the rain. Just had to stop once even driving home. So yeah, no, not food poisoning.
Which end is worse on food poisoning, top or bottom?
Top. I can deal with the bottom side. In fact, the bottom side was my secondary number 2, just in case.
Travis, number 2.
My number 2 is muscle aches. I hate muscle
aches.
They're my least favorite thing because I am a teenager going through adolescence.
So from growth spurts, those kind of muscle aches.
Yeah, those kind of muscle aches.
Yeah.
They are very annoying.
I grew 4 months in one summer one time. So
4 months?
Definitely know 4 inches.
Oh, no
I grew
way.
4 inches in 4 months is what I meant to say.
There's only 3 months.
And that was super painful. That was terrible.
I remember that.
I mean, my calf and my forearms were they were literally stretching. It was terrible. So I feel your pain, Travis. Travis is shooting up too, by the way. Travis and Cooper are like the same height right now. It's nuts. Yeah. So Travis is hitting his growth spurt earlier than probably any Chambers kid has.
And he's got a nice deep voice for all of you on here. He didn't used to have such a deep voice, but it is now.
Yeah, it was very high.
Definitely the sexiest voice of all of us. My number 2, we're going with a constant runny nose. So no other symptoms. You just have a drippy nose constantly.
It's the sinus drip.
This is the most annoying because if you're out and about, you do not have your nice lotion tissues that you have at home. So you're wiping your nose with whatever you got handy. And at that point, the edges of your nose get like chapped like your lips.
Yeah, it gets all crusty.
It's like,
yes,
that
stinks.
It's like when I'm in the car and I have no tissues, I have to resort to my shirt.
And everyone does it. We all wipe our nose in our shirt. So everyone shut up. My worst story about this, I was at my fiance's Thanksgiving, and we all bowed our heads to pray. I bowed my head, and then just boom, drop straight out of the nose, right onto the floor. So I just got to adjust myself a little bit so I stand on the nose drop, and, man. And you're holding hands. What are you going to do? I'm just going to stop. I'm just going to stop everybody's prayer. I'm just going to, hold on. I gotta go get a tissue. Sorry. Yeah, I'll keep praying. No, you can't do that. You're stuck. I was stuck. It was terrible.
and then you can just feel it. It's like dripping down again. It's like coming out. It's on the inside.
Then it's a river because as soon as the dam breaks, it's gone. It keeps going. Yeah, not good. Dad, number one.
All right, number one is no contest. Strep throat. I had strep throat on my honeymoon. I had strep throat probably 80% of the time that I go to Disney World. I don't know why. It just happens. So much so that one year we started feeling it as we were getting ready to go to Disney, and Tracy went to the doctor, and she gave her 3 sets of medicine for strep throat because we knew we were all going to get it. And we did. And the medicine helped and stopped it. So strep throat.
I had strep throat so bad my freshman and my sophomore years in college. The second time was so terrible, I could not eat. I literally couldn't eat. I had to get ice cream and let it melt down my throat. The pills that I got for the strep throat, I couldn't swallow them. I had to break them apart so that I could take them.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
One time I had strep throat and we had no ice cream or anything. I was so sad. I just had
You just starve.
Yeah, I just had to have ice cubes.
Yep.
I just sat them in my mouth.
Melting ice cubes.
All right, Travis, what's your number one?
My number one is long-lasting illnesses. Like the illnesses that last for like an entire week. You can't go to school for a week. You come back the next week. You gotta do full week of work.
You just made me think of another one that matches yours. So you can have this one. It's RSV because it goes for a week, and then you think you're getting better for 2 or 3 days, and guess what? Have another week.
Back again.
Yeah. So more so the coming back is the bad part.
Yeah.
More than just the illness.
It's just like the Stars. Always come back.
It always comes back.
But they eventually lose in the end.
All right. My number one is obviously the worst, without a doubt. It's vomiting. It is.
I like vomiting.
The fact that this.
It makes me feel better.
The after effects of vomiting. I got you now. I was trying like, what?
Anyway, moving on from that. Just the fact that this substance can come out of your body is the most disgusting thing in the entire world. You are vomiting up literal acid. Is coming out of your body. Acid. How did it get in there in the first place? I never remember drinking acid because, that has never happened. I've not done that. So I don't know how it got down there, but it did. And for some reason, this is about to get super graphic. If you don't want to get graphic, get out of here.
Turn us off now.
Turn it off now. Every time I get the stomach bug, I throw up so much and so violently that it gets all the way down to the bile. So I am throwing up literal, just straight stomach acid by the end. There is points where I've had the stomach bug that we almost had to go to the hospital because I could not stop throwing up. So
projectile vomiting is definitely high on my list.
It wasn't projectile. It was just constant. And every time I go into a fit, I can't just throw up one time. I can't throw up one time. It's 7 times. It's terrible.
That's what happened to me when I was like 5. I threw up like every 5 minutes, and I had to get an IV and went to the hospital, and I just blacked out a bunch of times. I would black out, wake up, throw up again, and black out again, and keep waking up and throwing up.
Brooke showed the male bias in this podcast. She was sick for 9 months straight. I could never do that.
We do not have to do that one at least. So yes, there you go.
Thank you for your sacrifice.
It's possible.
For the human race. That's right.
That'll do it for us tonight, guys. Thanks for checking in. Thank you, Dad and Travis, for helping me out with this. This would have been a much shorter and much less fun show if it was just me talking to you guys. Thanks to DraftKings, our primary sponsor and the sponsor of all of THPN. Be sure to use that promo code THPN at DraftKings. They'll get you some free goodies. Be sure to check out StarcasticRemarks.com. Ryan did a fantastic job with that website. Super cool blog post. Check out all of our episodes. Sign up for our newsletter. Go to StarcasticRemarksShop.com. Get our merch. Get our bath line. We've got toiletry bags coming, toothpaste, hair combs, all of it.
It's a special guest.
He's
Ryan
ready
just
to
jumped
say
into
the
the
outro.
podcast. Hi, Ryan. Thank you to Ryan for having a baby. That's great. Add another addition. She'll be on the podcast soon because everyone will be sick. Ryan, since you're on, close us out.
All right, guys. Thank you for coming on. We appreciate y'all watching the show. I will be back tomorrow for sure. I actually slept through halfway through this podcast, but I'll be back tomorrow. Go and check out sarcasticremarksshop.com. Go and check out sarcasticremarks.com for the latest blog post. Yes, I got crapped on for saying Otter has really been sucking it up lately. So go and check that out. You can tell me why I'm wrong. And as always, along with Chris,
Right there.
Travis, and Dad, my name is Ryan. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. We hope you guys have a good afternoon, evening, morning, whenever you guys are listening. See you guys later.